when you could hear my sweet voice. Can
Chase,
you hear me, man?
who cares about that purple bike with white walls?
I cannot.
Wow.
Seriously.
And here we go.
Chase, you're
We're-
such a
hey.
tard.
Hey.
Why are you looking at bicycles, bro?
I got
I
you.
just wanted to show people what a real race
I
bike
got you,
looks
Chase.
like.
Just so you guys know, that's Chase's real vehicle that he drives to work every day.
He rides it like 15 miles each
The
way.
purple two-tired people eater.
Everyone gets to see all these sweet UTVs all the time. I
Hey,
just
Chase,
don't
do you know how
wanna
to
see
change its flat tire on that bike?
it. Hell yeah.
Do you know how to work on the bike at all?
Yeah.
You have a set of tools? Where'd you get the tools?
From Tony's workbench over there.
You're
Hey,
stealing it from the guys?
what's the shop that you bring it to have him work on it for you?
Gordy's Bicycles, and thank you very
There
much.
it is.
Yeah, see, you don't work on it. Weird.
Well,
Bicycle.
you know, they put it together and then I change the tires. When I change it.
Well, I don't. So even though we give you a ton of smack, you can actually ride it pretty good. I've seen you just about upside down on that thing. It's pretty fun.
I want to be like Mitch.
You're never gonna be like Mitch, bro. It's not gonna happen.
I
Mitch
can
is back
try.
here. He's gonna hit you in the back of the
keep
head.
dreaming, Chase.
Yeah,
Come on,
it's
Mitch.
over.
A boy could dream.
Hey guys, thank you very much for tuning in. It is Tech Tuesday. Last Tuesday, we gave you an idea of what it costs to go racing. From a per mile standpoint, and depending on how you prep your car and what you're running, and maybe a little bit of how involved you want to be in your prepping and other things, as Darren drops a clutch on the ground.
Opa!
So today we're going to extend that cost basis analysis here for Tech Tuesday, and we're going to give you an idea of what it costs to build a race car.
How much you think it costs to build that sweet purple bicycle, Justin? Let's start there.
Yeah, if rainbows were free, didn't cost you very much then.
How about you say online how much you spent on all four of your
Okay.
bicycles so everybody else knows?
For the cost, I'd say for the cost of about 4 wheels and tires on this UTV, $2,000 for that purple people eater.
That
Yeah.
bike is $2,000. Are you serious?
Yeah.
What is
I'm-
wrong with
I'm
you,
ashamed,
bro?
but I'm confident.
Oh my God.
Times three, because he has 3 other ones.
This is an addiction.
Yes.
That's really, really bad.
I treat it kind of like Skittles, you know? I like all the colors, so I gotta build one for each flavor.
He's over there milking rainbows out of that bike's tire, I guarantee it.
Oh man.
So, sorry for the sidetrack. We could just do this all day and just mess with Chase. But so, what does it cost to build a race car? We get this question all the time, and we've kind of got it all written down for you. So, if you guys want to go back on this video, rewind it when we get it up on YouTube, then you are welcome to do that. We're just going to give you an idea, and these are round numbers, man. And everybody can spend all the money they want, or they can spend none of the money that we suggest. It is completely up to you on how you're going to spend the money on your car. But the way we've done this is we've broken it down into 2 different cars. One, probably, well, we call it budget racing, but you know what? There is no such thing. That is an oxymoron like jumbo shrimp. So get over it. You guys understand.
How about
that
we just call
budget
it
and
Matt's
racing
car for today?
Well, I guess we could say this is a good maybe analogy for Matt's car right behind you, Chase. That would be a segue into you showing a car. It's part of your video job, by the way. But so Matt's got a DS. One of the things that we don't have on this parts list that's on Matt's car is going to be arms. But besides that, it's pretty much going to be equal to what we've got on this sheet. So let's go ahead and jump on the sheet, Chase. So back to this fake name called budget racing. If you're going to build a car, and maybe you're going to build it out of your existing car, and you're going to go do some racing, there's a couple of classes that you can run in Best in the Desert. What is actually the name that they're calling them now?
Rally Sportsman.
Rally Sportsman.
That is
and
the
there's
one. You
one
can
more
run
though.
Yeah, there's Sportsman and Rally Sportsman.
Sportsman and Rally Sportsman. So the short version for this, you guys look up the rules and you'll figure it out. The short version is you can pretty much take a bone stock car and you can enter it in this class and run it. You're going to have some safety features that they're going to require. You have to have fire extinguishers, you're going to have to have window nets. The doors have to shut, or at least be locked shut. You can run the stock fuel cell though, so you don't have to have an aftermarket fuel cell with a lot of expense and protection. There's a few other things you have to have on the car, but it's very minimal. So a lot of guys run their pre-runner. You know, it's a fun car. It's got a little bit of strength to it and some safety on it, and they'll let you race it.
I like how Nate Pearson put it here, entry-level racing.
There you go. That would probably be a much better way than, you can't say budget, but entry level. So let's just go through that really quick. Again, you guys, round numbers. So let's say you've got a new car, or you go out and buy a car, or you got an existing car. Let's just say you got about 30 grand in it. Yeah, you can go buy one for 25. You can probably buy one cheaper if it's used. We're just gonna go with 30, okay? All of these numbers that I'm about to throw at you have zero labor. None. No labor at all. You are not paying a shop to do anything. You're doing all of this yourself. We'll get to the labor at the end. Cage. We're gonna put 1,500 bucks on there. That is the cost of material, some chromoly and all the spuds and tabs, and you're making your own cage at this point, okay? Cage, we're throwing maybe some extra mounts in there for like spare tire and things like that in this cost, but 1,500 bucks on top of the cost of the car. Seats. These are fairly inexpensive seats. You can do suspension or you can do wraparound bucket style. It's up to you, but there's a lot of seats you can buy for $800 for the pair. You've got seat belts. Belts at $400 for the pair. Remember, we're doing this for 2 seats because most of these classes are going to require 2 people, although in some of the stock classes you can just run 1 if you wanted, but this is 2 seats belts, everything else. Neck restraints, you're going to have to do like a next gen or Hans device for rules. When you do this, that means your helmet has to be set up. I'm assuming you already have a helmet. Neck restraints are 500 bucks per person. Nets, window nets, about $300 to window net the car. Fire suppression, this is going to be 2 or 3 fire extinguishers or some sort of other fire suppression in the car, which is by rule. Radio, intercom, air, and GPS. This is basically all the electronics that you're going to want in the car. So radio, so you can talk to your pit. Intercom, so you can talk to your navigator amongst each other. Air system, this is clean air, filtered air for your helmet. It is a must. If you guys don't know why you need that, you must be driving on the East Coast. When you're behind someone, it's nothing but dust. You can't see anything, and you don't want to eat that all day long for hours and hours and hours, because your nose will get completely plugged up with dust boogers and you won't be able to breathe. I mean, that's as easy as that. You have to have filtered air. GPS, you need to know where you're going. If you don't have a GPS in the car, then you are seriously behind the curve, even in this class. All of that's about 2,500 bucks. We prefer that you contact PCI for all of this stuff. You guys have something funny in the back. What do you got?
Matt did.
Matt, what do you got? I'm going to take a break at radios, okay?
We had Danny Nader ask, what's the difference between a pre-runner and a race car? And Josh Owen said, you pre-run a pre-runner and race a race car.
Oh, genius. makes all the sense in the world, yeah. Yeah, so.
I would say doors.
Really?
Well, not really. I mean, so a pre-runner is stronger than a normal car, so you can run it through a race course at a decent pace without braking. But it's also got some luxury to it in that you can maybe get in the doors and not have to crawl through the window. You got a softer seat. Maybe you got a stereo in the thing.
Smaller fuel cell.
Yeah, you got a stock fuel tank instead of a giant fuel cell. You don't have maybe the extent of, probably more tools on it. And certainly, so you can fix everybody that's going with you. And you got a whole lot more beer in the cooler than you do in the race car. So that's probably the biggest thing on a pre-runner, in my opinion.
I got, sorry, real quick, Bentham 581 asked, what are we learning? I just got here.
We're telling you guys how much money it's gonna cost you to build a race car in the UTV class. And right this second, we're starting with entry-level UTV, not budget racing.
I'm calling it Matt's car.
All right, so back to radio, intercom, air, and GPS. After that, you're gonna have to have a flashing taillight by rule in Best in the Desert and not by rule in Score. But Score also does not have an inexpensive class to race. This is just stuff that's in the US. This is a sanctioned light you have to buy. It's a specific one made by Rugged.
I
No,
have
it's
one.
KC.
KC, sorry, KC.
I have a flashing light in my bedroom. That won't work.
What are you flashing?
Is it your night light? Are you afraid of the dark, Chase?
Disco ball, my strobe light. I can't just bring those.
Yeah.
You always got those stars on the ceiling.
Yeah, your light shines like a galaxy on the ceiling so you can check out the constellations.
I got the Big Dipper and Uranus up there.
Yeah, Uranus. Of course you have that. So, flashing taillight, wheels and tires. At 2,500 bucks. Now, what we've got here is about $500 per wheel and tire. It's about 300 bucks for a tire, $200 for a wheel. That might be a little bit light, but you're gonna want 4 wheels and tires. You cannot race the stock wheels and tires, trust me. Jack and an impact. So this is gonna be the least expensive. So maybe a $200 impact and a $100 scissor jack. Wiring and supplies. You remember, you were doing all the wiring here. So you're grabbing butt connectors and a bunch of junk for 500 bucks. This is not good components, and certainly something you're gonna have shorts in the future. So cheap, cheap, cheap. Tool bag, first aid, about 400 bucks. First aid is required by rule, and there's certain bags you have to have. Tools, let's just say this is a $200 or $300 tool bag. Drive belts, so you're gonna carry at least 2 belts on board. That's 300 bucks. Radius rods, Rad Rods. So 900 bucks might be high for a Polaris and probably about right for an X3. Here's your total, man. No labor, everything adds up to 41,500 bucks. That actually sounds really, really low to me. But here's the deal. That's a $30,000 car and all the parts that I added up, but 0 labor. You have now spent 3 months in the garage after hours working on your car, building all that. That's assuming that you're a fabricator and you can weld a cage together and you can wire a car and you can set up a dash with all the things that you have to have in it. Time away from the kids. The wife's definitely gonna be pissed off that you spent all night for like every single day during the week doing this for 3 months. So what is all that worth? If you're not gonna do it yourself, back down here to the bottom, we're gonna throw about 10 grand labor on there. So what we're calling this 10,000 is if you paid a shop to build your cage, a couple grand. You paid somebody to wire the car, a couple grand. And you have to involve, or maybe you bought a cage that existed that was maybe 3,000 bucks. So you paid another $1,500 in labor on that cage versus what we list you having as material for 1,500 bucks. Roughly, we're just saying you're gonna have about 10 grand to build this car. If that was the case, you're gonna spend $51,500, and these are all round numbers. That sounds more likely, I think, wouldn't you say, Matt? And that's if you, for instance, like with you might've got the arms for free. You might've got a few other parts for free, right?
Yeah, a few.
What do you think you have in your car? I mean, I'm putting you on the spot.
I don't know.
You think
Let's
we're
see.
close?
You don't gotta lie to kick it, Matt.
No, what do you think?
We
Give
probably
it to us
haven't
straight.
paid half of that.
You said what?
We probably haven't paid half of that.
Haven't paid half of that because you're getting parts for free.
Yeah.
Right.
Sponsorships.
Okay, how about if you are not connected like you are, and you have to actually do this?
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
I would say
What
we
would
don't
you
have
change?
suspension. We don't have the arms on there.
There's no arms on this car. This is the least expensive. This is still stock arms and stock axles.
Yeah, I'd say that's about right. The 51.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Then it's a good guess. You guys got questions before I go on to the next?
Which is crazy because you only did 5 tires,
It's true.
and
That's one race.
Yeah, that's one race.
Yeah.
So,
Keep going.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I'm also not talking about in this pricing, we haven't structured the chassis very much. You still have stock arms and stock axles on it. Now that you've run the first race, which you can look back on last Tuesday's estimation on what you're going to spend there. Now you got to prep the car. So now you're throwing another set of axles in it. It's all the clutching and all the things that we've talked about before. And about 2 or 3 races in, now you're going to have a chassis that's completely destroyed and probably broken in 5 places that you're chasing with fabrication. So this is the least expensive thing you could build, but it's probably the most expensive thing for you to chase from a prep standpoint.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind. What do you got for questions there, Mitch?
I'm gonna throw you off topic, but I got a couple people asking about the new 2021 XP Pro R. Is it real or is it fake, and what do we know about it?
Ooh, so the Pro R is definitely real. It's been real for a couple of years. We can actually tell you that at this point, but I can't tell you much more about it. Actually, you know what? I could probably throw a couple things out. Can you say slingshot motor?
Slingshot engaged.
The 1000cc barrier has been broken with that car. So there's a good one for you. Can you say belt driven but sequential shifted?
Is that Justin's phone ringing? Is that Polaris?
Yeah, that's Polaris calling my phone right now. Listen, shut up. So there are some really cool things, man. You guys might want to get in line on that thing. We certainly are. We'll have one the second that we possibly can. Hopefully, maybe before everybody else does, but I doubt it. They're pretty tight-lipped on that car, and even the dealers don't know when they're going to get it. But we know a little bit about it. That's all I can tell you.
Wicked Razor, same XP. Can you do a review on the Pro XP, good and bad points of the vehicle and products you plan on building for it?
Yeah, we can do that. You know what's weird is we have reviews filmed for the Honda, the KRX, XP, Pro, and I can't get the guy behind this camera right now to finish up any of those videos.
Never gonna happen.
Yeah, so that stuff's already been filmed, and we'll put it out as soon as Chase has time.
Send your resumes for
crack
media.
a whip, or we get resumes in here for video, guys. Please send them #NoChase. All right, so if you don't have anything, I'm going to go to the fun racing.
Couple off topics, but I think we can get to those after.
All right, so let's step up the budget when it comes to race cars. Everything you see here for entry level, right? Everything you see here, we are now going to add to that. On top of that cost, if you're going to go and run maybe a higher level turbo class or pro classes, and you're going to have a purpose-built race car to go and compete with the guys that are amazing and very, very good at what they do. Here's some of the things you're going to have to step up on your program. So this premium racing, we're going to call it premium. That's funny. But what we're doing is zero labor. Okay, you guys, zero labor. You can do everything yourself. When it comes to the chassis, you're going to spend a whole lot more money on the materials because now you're going to have bumpers and tire mounts and mounts, completely handmade dashes and
Supports.
You know, lots of support in the chassis, lots of things to structure things. That's where we're getting more money for materials. Arms, you're definitely going to want to do some aftermarket arms because the stock stuff isn't strong enough to run the car at that pace. So do a long travel of choice, No Limit, Cognito, Lone Star, Geyser, just to name a few. And 5,000 might be on the low side for something like that. Radiator with fans. Stock stuff's not going to work. You're going to want something big. 1,500 bucks is on the low side for a big radiator and one of these mounted in the rear. Mounted in the rear's fabrication, part of this chassis cost. ECU and flash, this 1,000 bucks. Yeah, flashes are cheaper than that, but you got injectors and fuel pumps and all kinds of good stuff to go with it. Water system for these long races. And you're not getting out of the car, that means you're pissing in the car and you're drinking in the car, and you better get used to doing both. So some sort of water in the car, whether it's a Camelback on the back of the seat or something that's feeding you with an electric pump. Lighting, you got 3,000 in lighting. Now you might think that's a lot, but not really when you start buying good lights, because you're gonna spend about $2 grand on an upper light bar and about 300 or 400 bucks per pod. And a lot of guys have 6 or 7 pods on a car. So bumpers, when you step up the racing from the stock-ish racing, they're going to require that you have a bumper that is at least 4 inches in front of the tire and 4 inches behind the tire. So now you're spending a little bit more money in fabrication on tire mounts, spare tire stuff, and front bumpers. Axles, stock will not do, and now you got a long travel. Hopefully that long travel came with something. More than likely, you're still going to spend more money on axles and CVs. And if you don't do it up front, you're going to do it every race.
RCV.
RCV is what we use. Now, SATCOM. SATCOM is on the expensive side, and what this is radio communication that is satellite based. So this works everywhere in the world. You don't have to have radio, service. You don't have to have cell service. You don't have to have any of that. So when others in a race can't talk on the radio, SATCOM always works. It's expensive. It's about $5 grand per vehicle, and you need 2 at least. You need 1 in the race car, 1 in the race car, and you need 1 in the chase truck. What do you got?
Diversified Fab said, I don't see the line item for useless camera guy, $12.
Oh, thank you, Jason.
Jason, that's pretty good. Love it. So, SATCOM, you guys can take that out or put it in, but if you want to be competitive, it's something that you should consider. Wrap, well, you want to promote all your sponsors and you want to promote your team, right? So you're going to do some good looking stuff on the car.
Wolf Designs.
Yep, Wolf Designs. Steering rack. We got 2,000 bucks on here. That would be for an X3, but it would be 1,000 bucks if it was a Polaris, give or take. You got round numbers here. You're definitely going to need it when you got big tires and you're going to run the cars hard. You have to have a rack in the car. Once you have the rack, rad rods. Okay, so radius rods I have on the previous build, but you're going to spend a lot more money on this stuff. You're going to do rod ends and uniball joints and spacers on all the arms. This is a blanket dollar amount for all the things all over the car that you're going to need for joints. E-power steering is what we run for a power unit. You're going to upgrade the factory power steering so that you can get something that actually gives you enough power with a big tire for hours and hours and hours. That's a must, otherwise you get too tired to drive the car. Clutching, I'm just going to say you're going to spend about that much money tuning this stuff and having a few spares and springs to get it right. Clutching is really important. Shocks, well, for us it's free, but you're going to want to spend a lot of time getting your car dialed in, and that would be either contacting us or your favorite shock tuner and spending a lot of time on that car working, because if it does not work, don't bother entering the race. Camera, and this is not the cameraman, because if it was, it would be a big fat zero right here, Chase.
Yeah, see that, Jason? $2,000.
Yeah, no, camera, not cameraman.
You
So
put another zero
what we're
there.
throwing on here is GoPros. You're going to want to document what you do, because if you want sponsorship, you're going to want to put together a video on every race and then push that out there and send it to potential sponsors so they know who you are and see that you're promoting their product, and that might actually get you some free product or maybe a couple of bucks. Trust me, that's hard to do.
Insurance purposes, as well as it's great to watch, you know, and
Insurance?
learn from all your mistakes.
So that you can insurance claim your
Evidence, as I like
race
to
car?
call it, evidence
Evidence of what?
of
the wreck?
what color or what corners that Jeff forgets to call out.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Yep.
we can always, everything gets blamed on the navigator in that case.
Yep.
But you have video evidence, we all know it's not the navigator at that point.
It is pretty funny how many times after races we actually do refer to the cameras.
This is true. Well, it usually points out a loose nut behind the wheel. That's almost always the problem, right, Jeff? So cameras on the car, a siren or horn is required by rule, and you're going to want a loud one. Fuel cell, $4,000. Yes, they are expensive, but they are bladdered and they are good for a crash and they're not going to leak. Hubs, $5,000. Well, this is a blanket number, but stock hubs, spindles, uprights, whatever you want to call them, anything that's carrying a wheel bearing in it, they're not good enough. So you're probably going to go with a billet system, maybe something from ZRP, maybe a larger bearing design. There's a lot of companies that build hubs. On those hubs, you've also got some other parts we'll get into. Brakes, pads, and rotors. When you start running big tires, then the brakes do not work. So you're going to want to go a larger diameter rotor, maybe a more aggressive pad, maybe even aftermarket calipers. When it comes to that, we didn't put calipers in here, just brakes and pads. Drive plates, this would be part of the hub build. So drive plates tend to wear out. They are actually splined, and the axle is literally spinning that hub or drive plate. It's a weak spot. A lot of guys replace them every race. We certainly do, but you can also buy some really good ones and replace them much less. That's the cost for good hubs. Hardware, that's pretty low. It's not aircraft hardware, that's for sure, but this is some grade 8, and this is if you've got a cabinet like we do with the stuff laying around, costs you about $300. Rod ends, about $600 in rod ends, uniballs, spacers on the car. Maybe some of it came with your long travel, but maybe some of it didn't. Maybe you're fabricating things on your own, you're gonna need it. Zero labor, total.
Done.
About 100 grand, and give or take a couple $100. That's what all that stuff adds up to. Remember, that's everything on the entry level car added with everything I just went over for like a pro level car.
Now, whoa, Justin. You mean to tell me that you guys were griefing me over a $2,000 purple bicycle, but how many times over can I buy my purple bicycle in this race car?
I don't know anybody that would spend $100,000 on a bicycle, much less $2,000 on a bicycle.
We're gonna race, Justin.
Chase would.
Chase
We are
has,
gonna race.
yeah. You know what? A lot of people will probably spend the money on a bicycle, but nobody would do it on a purple one.
Seriously?
You're the only one that would do a purple one.
We're racing.
I agree.
Yeah, purple one.
racing.
So, Mitch, what do you got?
Wade Moulton wants to know what would be a good place to race to try for your first race in the United States, preferably closer to the East Coast.
Ooh, so what's the racing series that's over that way? Is Works go that far on the East Coast, Matt?
No, there's
There's some others, though.
there's Pro Rock Series, which is more. He's looking for entry level races, though, right?
Yeah.
A lot of those races are like cross country races, like IXCC, where it's more of like hills and some trees. Pro Rock Series is more forest and rock racing.
Maybe
eye-opener.
Google up the racing on the East Coast, man. That might be able to give you an idea of the series you could jump into.
Texplex has just released their race series, so that's all track,
Yep.
which is similar to Works.
Yep.
So they have a race every month starting from January through August, except for April.
So not East Coast, but Texas, so halfway there.
I got Comdiver PM said snore, SNORE, or more, MORE.
Both are West Coast, so that's not helping our the person that just asked about East Coast racing. I was going to point out those. You've got AZOP, you've got a ton of other ones. You've got Sonoran Desert Racing, SDR.
This guy said
SADR.
IXCR.
IXCR. Okay, cool. Good to
Or
know.
AXCC.
Well,
Those are all back there.
more suggestions, so look into those. Back to the cost of this $100,000 car. That is no labor, gentlemen. You are doing everything yourself. So you better be, number one, capable. Hopefully you're a fabricator. Hopefully you're a wiring guy, a plumbing guy, and you have the time to put into it, because that's every bit of a 6-month build every night after work. Other things you can compare to, if you contact, say, Dan over at Lone Star Racing, they're building complete race cars turnkey for $120,000 to $140,000. Just depends on what you have for electronics in that car. So if you look at it from a 6-month standpoint of building your own, or even longer, then it probably pays off or makes more sense to order up a car from Lone Star or somebody like that and get a complete car and go racing and not skip a season. Mitch.
The question we get asked all the time, and I think most everybody is curious about, Robbie Gordon's Speed UTV car. What is our opinion? What do you think it ties into all of this? Et cetera, et cetera.
Like the
All right.
El Diablo model that supposedly is race ready.
So I need to see the car to give you my opinion on how raceable it is. But according to the way that Robbie has designed it and marketed what is going into that car, it would probably cost you a lot less to race that car than anything else, because it's got a lot of the stuff and components, strength already built into it. Probably, in my guess in advance, probably an amazing car to race. But one thing to consider, and hopefully Robbie doesn't get all pissed off at me saying this, he probably will, is every single car has its issues the first year when it comes to race teams. And that's why you see a lot of, like, say, Polaris sponsored teams stay with a Turbo S even though the Pro has come out, because they want to see what happens on that before they race it and become the guinea pig and have short races. So that would be my only negative I could say with the Speed UTV, is with no history, all the teams have to figure it out as they go. But with what he's designed, it should be amazing to race and cost a lot less to go racing with it. What do you got?
I got somebody that wants to take Chase's job. The War Wagon said he'll make a killer video if we put a shocked package together for him.
Let's do it. Sounds like a video off.
Yeah, contact Chase. And let's see if you can get through. No, actually contact me. That way that Chase doesn't try and bury the
Is it a
information.
girl or a boy, Mitch? I can't tell.
So, you know what? Send your resume to jobs@shocktherapist.com and we can get rid of Chase. Thank God. Hashtag no Chase.
You know, all this is great. We're looking at all these informations on boards here, but I'm getting a little bored. But Justin, let's have a little game here. We've built these cars time and time again. I want to know from you, and I've actually played this game with you before. Let's sell your pre-runner right now. How much you got in this thing, Justin? How much can I buy it for right now?
Well, number one, I wouldn't sell it because I love my pre-runner. It's kind of stuck to me. But
No, you don't like it anymore. We're selling it today.
I mean, we probably spent 60 grand on that car. I would say pretty easy, and it's been a good car for us. But remember, once you spend the 60 grand, we're probably throwing $2,000 or $3,000 at the car after every pre-run, or at least after every 1,000 to 2,000 miles with that car. And we've had it now for 4 years, and this car has over 13,000 miles on it. So that means every 1,000 miles we throw 3 grand at it. Roughly, we've spent another $40,000 on that car maintaining it so that it still works. So keep in mind, buying the car up front is just the beginning. You're gonna have to spend a lot of money after that too.
Okay, I hate to go here, but we're gonna do this, and it's gonna hurt a little bit, but it's like a Band-Aid. We're just gonna rip it off. We're gonna sell the race car right now. I don't like this thing. It's kind of getting old. We need to build a new one, which I think we're gonna go over that next. But how much for the race car, Justin?
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna sell it.
Come on.
No, I don't. I think we're probably going to keep the car. We might run it in score, and then when the new car that we're building probably would be our best in the desert car.
No, but theoretically, if we were, how much has gone into this car? How much labor? And how many bicycles, purple bicycles, could I buy with this race car?
Purple bicycles. Let's see. That's probably 200 purple bicycles.
Jesus.
I would say we probably
gotta sell
got
this thing.
we probably got 200 or 300 grand in the car if you add up every single thing we've spent and prepped and done on this thing for a couple of years. But we probably put 100 grand in the car up front, and then we've just maintained it after that.
I have a question from Stu Peace. He's asked us in a couple shows, what tire sealant should be used?
Good question. We don't use any tire sealant, so I can't recommend it. You know what I might do? Take a look at the side of Phil Blurton's car. I think he does use a tire sealant. You can see what he's using. It clearly works because he's winning.
Yeah, whatever Phil's using, use what Phil's using.
Yeah, when in doubt, do what Phil does.
When in doubt,
Fill it out.
Yeah, we're gonna have to give him that one.
Right. So, what do you got, Mitch?
Jeff Wolfson, 47, is the Pre-Runner X3 still on the original engine and transmission?
No. I think we're on the third motor on that car. We shove an engine in that thing about every 3,000 miles, maybe 4,000 miles, or unless we had a problem. And really, we haven't had any problems with it. Tranny, I think we probably are about the same. We're pretty much shoving a motor and tranny in it every single time together at about 3,000 or 4,000 miles.
Frank G, what's up, man? All right, Justin. I think we've built a couple race cars now, and people understand how much these pretty ponies go for. Let's give them some more perspective
What do you got?
between the last race and this next race, Vegas to Reno, by the way, which I'm going to get on. How much have you put into this car as far as labor?
Well, we probably put about 60 or 70 hours in the prep. So fill in your own dollar amount. If you want to pay yourself 20 or 30 bucks an hour, then you can do the math. It just depends on whether you're doing it yourself or you're paying somebody to do it, and if they're qualified and what they get paid.
Percentage-wise, how much work did Tony do on this car? How much work did Darren do on this car?
Tony did probably 80%, and Darren probably did 20%, because Tony is pretty much touching every single thing on it from prep standpoint, and
He's kind of a
Darren's touching the car when it comes to fabrication. And we did cut some stuff off of it and made some new parts, and we found a few things that were getting weak, and so we cut them off and made new parts.
It's pretty incredible how much initiative Tony takes into this car.
Are you man crushing Tony right now?
I am. He's,
You want something from Tony, or?
I'm into older dudes. What's an older dude?
That's funny.
What platform will our next build be? Well, let's go talk about it.
So right now we're building another X3. Reason is that we have all the parts already for spares and prep parts and things that are in the trucks to support a Can-Am package. If there was a better car tomorrow,
God damn it.
I probably would not build that car and race that car right this second. We'd probably let it go about a year so we can see what happens with that car, the weak spots, and then if it still is better than what we run, then we would change. But as far as what we do, we're just gonna run what we feel is the best, and we'll change it when we find something better.
Tony said #no chase.
You know what? I think we need a new wiring guy. Honestly, Tony's getting old. He can't hear anything. I yell at him all the time. I have to tell him everything 8 times.
Tony's gonna come out of his office and whoop your ass, Chase.
He
I
can
guarantee
try.
you. Yeah.
I got that bicycle. I'll be out of here in a second.
What else you guys got? Otherwise, let's get.
Ryan Vanderlee wants to know, how many belts do you blow on each race?
So other than last race, we don't blow any belts. We run the whole race on one belt. And if you blow a belt, you're probably going to drop 10 positions. It's that tight usually in all these races. So you better have your clutching right. Again, other than last race where we blew one belt right off the starting line, we don't typically blow any.
Never say never. Sorry, did you guys hear this? I think I'm coming up with something. I'm gonna have to leave.
Yeah, the COVID. Get out of here.
Mr. Asaf said, "Hey guys, shout out to Matt. Got the shirt in Israel. Wanted to go live, but it looks like Chase didn't let him."
Awesome. Thanks for sending that out, Matt. Appreciate that. Much better than anything that Chase normally does. That's for sure.
Oh, I got one here. 710 Oil 17. And this is good. I don't even know if you want to answer this right now, Justin. How much have you spent total on your UTV racing career? Ballpark.
I'm not even going to tell you because my wife watches this.
Come on.
Nope.
Let's do.
Only person that knows that's my accountant.
Oh, come on. Let's do a year.
Nope. Not happening.
Autopilot MT, what would be your perfect transmission you wish your cars had?
Anything without a belt, hopefully sequential 6-speed. That would be what I'd love to have in these.
Jeff Ketterman wants to know best used UTV 4-seater to buy to rebuild on a budget.
To rebuild for play or to rebuild to race? Let me ask you that. So give me back that answer and I'll tell you.
Calvin Wash, what are the high failure items on a 2020 XPK 1000 when stepping up to a 31-inch tire over stock?
Front differentials, front arm bushings, ball joints, and hub bearings. If you run the car hard enough, you will be going through those. Those are the number 1, 2, and 3. There's plenty more, but that'll get you started.
Play car.
Play car. Right now, used is expensive, but I think a Turbo S would be awesome. And I'm partial to Can-Am, so any X3 would be good too. But the Turbo S's, I think, are probably going to give you the best bang for the buck and not have to spend very much money to get going again.
Frank G. Life said, sorry, Tony, I'll wire it up.
710 Oil 17. I am not going to take that as our answer here. Justin, we've talked about how much it costs to race the races, and now we've talked about how much it costs to build the cars. So let's theoretically say here, how much should someone want to spend per year if they competitively want to race UTVs with the car already built?
All right, so here you go. If you have a entry level car, you're going to spend $2,000 to $4,000 per race to run that car. After about 4 races, you're going to be buying chassis and big components for that car, and it's going to run the expense up. If you're racing competitively, like say in Pro Turbo, then I think a realistic number is going to be $5 to $10 grand a race, no matter which race on average. So how many races you're going to enter? If it's 10 races, then there's $100,000, and that might be on the low side. Just depends on if you're doing all the work or you're having other people help you.
That's much lower than Dever PM. He said 1 million plus.
No, $1 million is mostly trophy truck budgets. You can race competitively in trophy truck for about $500,000 to $1 million a season if you already own all the trucks, trailers, race trucks, and have all the spare parts. UTVs, here's the round numbers. I know guys that race UTVs at $50,000 to $100,000 a year. I know guys that are sponsored and spend $250,000 a year. I know people that spend more, not me. But there's your range, $100,000 to $250,000. That's going to be somewhere in the competitive area. The more money you spend, or at least on the higher end of that, typically the more often you finish races competitively. You spend $100,000 for the season, you're going to have a lot of short races.
Race Chase and Taco wants to know steps or process on how to volunteer for your team.
Looks like he's already in with that name.
Yeah, so why don't you send all your information to jobs@shocktherapist.com, and if we're ever short on anybody, we'll keep all your information and give you a call.
I just want to point out here that for about $2,069 a season, you could be just racing sweet purple bicycles over there.
Yeah, well, not very many people watching this is going to care about that bicycle.
Come on!
Really stuck on this bicycle.
He really is. I just think he likes purple.
Uh-oh.
He likes purple under his ass.
Here's where it all comes into a logical perspective, and I think that 710 Oil 17 is onto something here. Are your racing expenses a tax write-off?
Yes, they are, but that's because we are in the industry. So the trick is, if you're a plumber and you're trying to do this, you can only write off about 20% of your racing. You're not going to be able to write all of it off. So it's a big deal on where and how you are working and what your business or what you do is and how it connects to UTVs. So for us, it's what we do. 100%, and that's why we do it. We use it for testing.
Good thing for me.
Chase has a comment here that he's extremely excited about.
All right, what do we got?
Scotty Wentz wants to have Chase show the purple bike.
Ooh. Yeah, no, not going to happen.
Come on!
You can do your own feed and showing yourself on your own bike.
Two things, Justin. Give us a wrap up of what we've talked about here today, and then we got Equin. What have you guys heard about Glamis season?
So we have now on this feed shown you some of the expenses that go into building a race car. These things can change according to what you run in your own car. But here's a short version. If you're going to run an entry-level car, you're going to spend about 40 grand if you do everything yourself, 50 grand on it if you have people help you or spend some money. If you're going to go in highly competitive classes like Pro Turbo and expect to try and win, then you're going to add all of these things to that cost, and that comes out to about 100,000 bucks. So you're going to spend 100 grand on the car, and or you can buy one from Lone Star or somebody else complete for 120 to 140,000, and you're racing. Then you got to prep it after that. So here's costs on building race cars. Your question on Glamis, right? Have I heard anything about Glamis?
Camp Razor, have we heard anything about Glamis? We got multiple coming in on that.
So obviously the dunes are probably going to happen, but there is no full verdict on whether Polaris is going to be doing Camp Razor. And actually, we're not 100% sure yet if we're going to have a full vendor row or some sort of limited vendor row. I think we won't know for another month. But I mean, the dunes are happening, but who knows about Camp Razor right now?
C Steel 12490. Where can I get some sweet decals for my X3?
Whatever that was, Jake.
Sorry.
So just email us at sales, and we'll send you a bunch of decals. As far as like stickers are concerned, we'll send them to you for free.
I was going for wolf designs.
Oh, that's what that was?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no.
That was horrible.
Completely missed it. That was like a lame teen wolf. You're not even a teenager.
Dirt Fire Racing, let's go Factory Elite Racing for the win. Where's his car?
Sorry, Ryan. That was all Chase. You can hashtag him no Chase.
You're welcome, Ryan.
Yeah. You guys got anything? Let's get out of here.
We're good.
All right. No more questions. We're out. Thanks for Tech Tuesday. Hopefully, if you're thinking about building cars, use this as a little bit of a guideline. Also, I'd suggest you get the rule book out and you study it, because you want to make sure you got everything on there that they're going to require. We are going to be at Vegas to Reno this week for Thursday. So throw it out there. Thursday is going to be in Las Vegas. It's a limited contingency. Probably can't be walking around talking to you guys there. We'll find out, but more than likely not. So we'll sign on. We'll throw a feed out there somewhere in Vegas. Get ready to have a bunch of questions you can throw out to us, or throw it out there Thursday. If you guys have any questions about components, give us a call at 623-217-4959. If you guys want to buy anything that we test on all of our race cars first before we sell it to you, then go to shocktherapist.com. We will see you Thursday for Throw It Out There Thursday. And if you follow the live tracking on Best in the Desert, follow our car T927 on the tracking for Vegas to Reno. We'll see you at the finish line.